Hello and welcome to our channel. My name is Jay Garcia and I'm the Chief Scientist at Modus Create. Today we're here to talk about an exciting project our team worked on called Ishihara. Ishihara is a proof of concept healthcare mobile app we created as part of Modus Labs. Ishihara helps people identify color blindness by showing them a series of images with embedded characters. Each one of these images are comprised of a series of colored dots known as Ishihara plates. The goal is to get the user to spot the characters in each one of these images. At the end of the process, we show the percentage of characters correctly identified. This was an exciting cross-functional project that took us only 6 weeks to complete. So how did we do that? Well, we used the latest tech and frameworks which include Ionic, AWS, and Stencil.js. Now, of course, having a great product strategy is absolutely vital given the short time frame. And joining me today is a team that led the development effort of this product, TBC4 Engineering Director, Ann Heron, Director of Product Strategy, and Wesley Pfister, Engineering Manager. So, Ann, we developed this for the healthcare field. So can you help us understand why did we decide to pursue the healthcare field for consulting?
Sure, absolutely. I would say regardless of your industry, every business needs a digital strategy. However, healthcare was a really clear choice for us in terms of an imperative around digital transformation. I think clearly there's a shift to a consumer-centric model for delivering care, where the focus is now on user experience over speed to market. I think what's driving that is that patients are taking a much more active role in their healthcare and well-being. And while it might be accelerated by COVID, that is really the overarching experience, and that's why we chose healthcare.
So 6 weeks for a lot of companies, including Modus, is a really fast pace. Can you help us describe what was the thought process around developing the application, and how did we do it in such a short time frame?
In the world of product, constraints are a good thing. I think they give us the guardrails and they make us work really hard to get a good product in, the right budget, the right timeline, etc. For us, our biggest constraint was time, as you said, 6 weeks. So the important thing for us was to tie every smidgen of work that we did back to business objectives and to make sure that we had validated requirements for the project. And we did it.
When you're working with clients, what types of advice would you give them that would allow them to follow such a rapid pace of development?
I think building out those requirements and then validating the requirements and prioritizing rigorously. So we had a roadmap that allows us to give visibility and transparency into the process. It allows people to see where we are with a particular feature or a product. That is true for C-suite, sales, marketing, etc. To clients outside Modus, it also allows them to let their clients know when things would be built. For us, to keep things on track with a super short timeline, we had to rigorously prioritize our work. At the same time, it gave us sight into future work, which, as I said, gives us a strong foundation for innovation.
So developing, it is where ideas go to get invalidated sometimes, ideas go to die. Tibby, talk to us about what the development process was like on such a rapid pace of type of application.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, for inviting me today here. So the development process was really nice. We started with Ishihara, we started with any other client. From something that we want to build and will add value and will be delivered. So we treated Ishihara like any other Modus client, and we've applied all the concepts also to the Ishihara project. We've started to work on Ishihara using bench people. Bench people meaning that we had some of the modites that were between the engagement, so there was a lot of dynamics involved here, because of all the people that were getting in and after that getting out from the Ishihara development process. Of course, we've choose Kanban as the agile methodology because we had to build the application in 6 weeks, so that was the timeline that we had. So we thought that Kanban is the perfect approach on that. And also from the tooling perspective, we've chosen Jira and Confluence. They are perfectly married together, so that's why we went for Jira and Confluence. And also related with communication on the team, which is really important. Mainly, we've kept the meetings on a really low frequency and a lot of asynchronous communication. Basically, iteration was the name of the game, with short feedback cycles that would provide a continuous stream of feedback. Because we are talking about the healthcare industry and this is a sensitive industry, it was critical to understand and adhere all the regulations. So we knew we couldn't claim that our app provides the final diagnosis to user, it's just a proof of concept.
When it comes to developing a product, enterprises today have nearly endless supplies of choices for the technologies that they use to employ. Now, the team chose Ionic and Stencil.js. So could you talk to us about what specifically was the methodology behind choosing Ionic and Stencil.js and what was the development process like?
Yes, of course. So Ionic is an open source UI toolkit for building performant, high quality mobile and desktop application using web technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, with the integration for all the popular frameworks like Angular, React, and Vue. So Ionic allows us the flexibility of building cross-platform apps without any problem in a stable, faster, and reliable way. And a few words about Stencil. Stencil is a tool chain for building reusable, scalable design systems. We can generate small, blazing fast, and 100% standard web components that run in every browser. So basically, that's why we went with Ionic and Stencil. And one thing which was really important was the simplicity. Using Ionic and Stencil.js allow us to simplify the front-end development across multiple frameworks. So one thing that was also important, we are partners with Ionic, so we had the opportunity to showcase our Ionic capabilities into the healthcare industry. So we are talking here about a perfect match between people, knowledge, process, and tools. We had everything in place and we've done it. So I think that one of the biggest challenge was to building the backend that generates all the plates on Ishihara. So we wanted also on the front end to take the advantage of using something really fast, reusable, and that can be implemented really fast. So Ionic allow developers to use different JavaScript libraries to build app components. It empowered us to build the app quickly by leveraging all the simplicity and minimalist on a functional architecture. This is how also Stencil.js helped, because with Stencil.js we generated all the UI components leveraged by Ionic to build the UI also for iOS and Android mobile application. So basically this was the main advantage by using Ionic and Stencil.js.
Now, we mentioned a little earlier that we leveraged not only Ionic and Stencil.js to develop this product, but also AWS. AWS is a cloud provider that has nearly endless choices for technologies, but it's also in a sea of other cloud providers. So talk to us about why did we choose AWS to deploy our product?
At surface it might be really simple because we are generating some of the plates that are displayed to the user. But on the backend side, there is a scientific process behind each display, and that requires a complex algorithm to run in our backend. While using Ionic and Stencil.js would allow us to simplify all the front-end development across multiple platforms, we wanted the same for the backend. So we decided to go with AWS serverless because we wanted to build the app's backend without the overhead of managing our own hardware or managing complex infrastructure in AWS. So we've got performance, scalability, and security out of the box. That was the main advantage going with AWS. So in this case, S3 buckets, lambdas were exposed using the API gateway service. Basically, this is how it was done and implemented in the backend.
Going through such a rapid pace of development can be anxiety-provoking for a lot of engineering directors or engineering management, not to mention the team. So if I could ask you to share some tips for your colleagues out there in the world, what would those tips be for developing such a rapid application?
Oh, yes, I can talk for 2 hours around this because we had a lot of passion around this application with a lot of challenges, which was really awesome because we were in a position to build something that was adding value to the company. I mean, we were not just building something, we were building an application that was adding value, and we knew how the outcome would look like. Focus on the product, not on the tools and methodologies. Sometimes we as an engineers, we are so focused on the tools, on methodologies that we forget about the value. We forgot about the features that we need to develop to our customers. And this was a perfect opportunity for us to see exactly what's the value without thinking too much on tools and methodologies, because that was something that we've decided really quick and we've just went and implemented. It was a really nice opportunity to engage with all the team, so we had everybody involved into this project, from the BA, front-end engineers, back-end engineers, and so on. So it was really nice to engage with a full stack team. And also one thing that was really interesting and nice, we've chosen Ionic, which was an awesome option for developing cross-platform mobile application. So I would say that as a recommendation to everyone that would like to build something really fast and quick is to focus on the value that they can provide, keep it simple, and iterate it all the time in a continuous feedback loop. I mean, it's also vital to pick modern tooling and the right technology stack to avoid doubling the work. With Ionic, Stencil.js, AWS, we've managed to build something great, fast, and really, really quick.
Thank you so much, Tibi. It is so easy for enterprises to not only choose modern technologies to move as fast as possible, but often they do so in a way that is not as secure as their enterprises require. So Wesley, can you describe to us, how did security play a role in developing Ishihara?
Sure, yes. Security is always a concern, should be always a concern. In our application, we got lucky because the way that we decided to build it, the application layer security wasn't that complex. Our app doesn't require any kind of authentication, and our API also doesn't require authentication to get the plates images. Basically, our API is a serverless architecture where we expose the Ishihara plates as images on a public CDN. At the same time that it wasn't complex, we had a deadline that made us to be fast. We needed to be fast. So our decision of going with a cloud platform like Amazon helped a lot. And there is this concept on Amazon that is Amazon Shared Responsibility model, where they take care a lot about the security in terms of hardware, infrastructure, their own network. And our application, in terms of security, our concern was to make sure that our S3 bucket, the CDN, was publicly readable, but writable only for our lambdas. That made our life easier there. We also used GitHub Advanced Security to make sure that our code base wasn't exposing any kind of flaws. For example, having a API key shared there, or using any type of package with vulnerabilities.
One question I have for you, Wesley, is for your colleagues out in the field, what tips would you give to them as they're looking to embark on similar journeys so that they can make sure that they're developing as high quality a product as possible?
The first tip is to make sure that security is always a top priority in the software development project. We know that working around security often takes a lot of energy and time, a commodity that teams usually don't have. But it's important to make sure that we have some security level implemented. So relying on a third partner like Amazon would make sure that you can focus on your product, you can focus on your business, and everything that is related to security, at least outside of the application layer, is taken care by Amazon. Using GitHub as we did to make sure that your code base is secured, because right now, if you have like a npm package that just pop up in the market, that might have a vulnerability that you don't know, GitHub will let you know about that and let you know how to fix it as soon as possible.
This has been an amazing conversation. Tibby and Wesley, thank you so much for your time. A final thought to leave you with is that the challenge of building this solution in such a short period of time showed us how important it is to master agile concepts and employ the right tools at the right times. The key to success for every tech-related project is to trust that people will do their best if they're given the time to research and experiment. You can learn more about our process at our website, moduscreate.com. You can also download the app with the links in the description below. Thank you again for joining us today. Take care.